Good afternoon. It is March 20th, 2023, and today we had the spike in channel with a break and an attempt at a new high, but it didn't make a new high. Uh, Big sell off in the overnight. Uh, so that's about it. I mean, when we formed this spike in channel, when you get confirmation right here, I felt pretty confident that we would make a new high or at least test this high. Um, but just pretty choppy and just not a whole lot to work with today. But we'll see. Maybe there's something else, but I don't think so. So I think 5 o'clock comes in this range. Yeah, you see this move, big move down in the overnight. Let's see, probably something like that. Yeah, and you get a break, two legs of correction, and then a move to a new low, and then it reverses. Overshoot leads to a break, and then we form this range. So shortly after 5, you get this really like a triple test with a bullish bar, and it's not a second entry. It's really a higher low from a second entry, um, but it kind of looks like a second entry. So maybe you take that, but going straight into that EMA, I'm not too confident in that. You can see this looks like kind of like a channel right here. Overshoot leads to a break. Probably not really a setup to go long here. I mean, you get this double test right here. And that looks like a second entry long, but it's just not a lot of room back to the EMA. Again, just not a great setup. And we're just going sideways here. This is just I mean, this kind of looks like a second entry, but I mean, maybe you play this as like a failed break lower, but it's just aggressive. So anyway, we come up here, we test this price level up here a second time, and then you get this a third time. I mean, shoot, you might take that one. That looks pretty good, honestly. And that's a second entry short as well. It's a second entry short. It's a triple test. You see, we haven't made it back to the EMA. It's a new high, but that, I don't know, that looks pretty good to me. But after that, you get a first entry, second entry. I marked it, but now seeing all this congestion here, I'm not so sure about that one. I'll leave it marked, but just not a good setup. Then we break above this price level. The breakout fails. You actually get a first entry, second entry. I actually like that one. I like that. We got a new low, first entry, second entry, bearish bar. I'd probably be playing this in real time, like a range, and that looks like a lower high back into the range. I like that. And turns out that this is a channel with an upward bias. So when we bounce right here, that's confirmation of the channel. You get a higher low right here, but it's kind of stemmy, so I'm not crazy about that. We come up here and we get this congestion around the midline. Come down here, you get a double test, but this is just congestive, so I'm not too crazy about it. You can see though, I mean, it's basically off of this price level. So you might consider that. It kind of looks like a second entry as well. Oh, you know what? That actually is a second entry, so why don't I mark that? I'm tempted to mark this blue because it's a double test. It's a double test off of this price level. We just got confirmation of this channel being upward. and it's a second entry long. Only problem is that we're not making it to the highs of this channel. So, but anyway, we go higher and you get a first entry, second entry long. That's also a failed second entry short. And you can see a lot of people like that one. It shoots up, and now we're just in no man's land along this midline. We can't make it to the highs of that channel, and we start to sell off. And you get a failure, but after this one doesn't tick lower, you get an inside bar. I don't think you want to take that. And this kind of looks like a second entry short right here, but there's a lot of overlap in that. I'm not taking it. We get a break of this short-term channel that leads to a break of this larger channel, and you can move to a new low from this channel, and then it reverses. And here's the reversal, but unfortunately it's below the EMA, so I don't think you can take that. But if yours closed above the EMA, this just had the feel of a reversal, so I think you want to take that. This looks like a second entry long, so maybe you take that one, but a lot of overlap there. You get an overshoot and a couple legs up, and that leads to an eventual break. And you get this, this kind of looks like a second entry short right here. But it looks like it might be a little early, because I was expecting, a new high from this larger channel. And there's not a lot of room to the lows. Then you get a first entry, failed second entry right here, and there's room to the lows, so I think you got to take that one. Lower high, but I don't think you can take that. It's going into the lows. We get a break of this channel, and you get a first entry. I looked at this as a double bottom. First entry, second entry. That's a fairly bearish bar. Problem is that stem, but it is second entry. But if you don't like that one, we make that new low. You get a lot of bullish momentum, and you get a double test right here. A lot of room back to the EMA. So I kind of like that one, but if you're patient, you get a second entry short right after that. And if you had this pink range drawn, which you very well could have, because I just drew it from this leg of correction, then you might not like this entry as much, because you're going into the midline that has some support there, but there's room. So 475. There's room for eight ticks if you want it. And that's a really bearish bar too. So I think it's a pretty good setup. And we're just a lot of overlap. And you get a reversal here, but all these stems, and you're going into this price level, I think you're better off sitting out. And it turns out this is a spike and channel up. Overshoot leads to a break, and that brings us into market close. So that's the way I saw it today. I hope everyone had a great day, and I'll be back tomorrow.